With one episode of Ahsoka remaining, Star Wars fans have possibly discovered the real reason for Dave Filoni's shortcomings as a Star Wars creator.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Dave Filoni has often been called the savior of Star Wars. After the abysmal disappointment of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, fans were looking for a new hope. A majority of Star Wars fans did not like what J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and Kathleen Kennedy were bringing to the Star Wars universe. After seeing iconic characters like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia turned into jokes, the morale among fans reached an all-time low. The Star Wars universe looked like it was fading fast, but Dave Filoni was the man most Star Wars fans were betting the house on. After the success of the Clone Wars and Rebels, fans assumed that Dave Filoni would be the man to save Star Wars. But after Ahsoka featured some of the same issues that fans had with the sequel trilogy, questions began to arise. How is this happening again to Star Wars? Well, new information has come to light that has fans convinced that another Filoni is the reason why Disney Star Wars is still on brand as ever. But before we talk about her, today's video is brought to you by me, Jeff Hicks, and my graphic novel Stealing Solo. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to StealingSolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to StealingSolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. Dave Filoni's influence on live-action Star Wars started with The Mandalorian, a show many Star Wars fans once loved. In the beginning, it was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau who were spearheading the series, with Jon Favreau the main creative voice. However, as Dave Filoni's creative voice grew, the series suffered and viewership began to fall. Fans weren't feeling Dave Filoni's Star Wars, and they were beginning to ask how it went from entertaining to absolutely terrible. Well, recently, some Star Wars fans on X believe they've found an answer. Film director and producer Dave Filoni has worked on numerous Star Wars series, including Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, and most notably, The Mandalorian. While The Mandalorian started off with a bang, earning 7 Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards in its first season, the third season has failed to impress its fans. Critics have voiced concerns over its failures and plot holes due to lazy writing, but it isn't clear why the show went downhill. But X users believe that it may have something to do with Filoni and his creative direction. One user on X insinuates that the poor writing could be due to his politics and writes, "Why does Star Wars suck so much? Oh," followed by Filoni's wife, Anne Convery, with woke merchandise. Convery is seen holding a mug that says "Drink coffee and hail Satan," and a shirt that reads "Abortion is healthcare." She shows off another mug on Instagram that says, "I love being woke. It's much nicer than being an ignorant fucking twat." Another user says, "Ah, so he is miserable and brings that energy to Star Wars. Makes sense now." Another responds with "every fucking time." Another states, "This explains everything." Could Dave Filoni be influenced by his home life? Could these images shine a light on what Dave Filoni puts into his Star Wars, or are fans reading too much into this because they dislike Ahsoka? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Social media gives people unfettered access to each other. When celebrities or their families post, fans get an intimate look at their lives and learn more about the creatives. Sometimes more than they ever want to know, and that can backfire, like in the case of Dave Filoni. Social media has given fans access to many of the creatives behind the modern Star Wars, and the politics of the creators tend to find their way into the work. This has fans feeling very apprehensive towards the Star Wars franchise because they feel it has become a soapbox for the creator's personal politics, not the medium to further Star Wars. While fans feel that Dave Filoni's wife may be influencing his Star Wars work, one thing his Star Wars work is not influencing is the fans watching Ahsoka, as the numbers prove that the series isn't the hit it needs to be for Disney+. Ahsoka's viewership has fallen off the Nielsen's overall top 10 chart, nearly identical to Andor, that was chasing the audience. In the first week of release, the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka racked up 829 million minutes, which was good for a 5th place on Nielsen's top 10 overall chart. With the release of the show's 3rd episode, Time to Fly, the series had fallen off Nielsen's overall top 10 chart, with other series like Suits and One Piece claiming those spots. In order to find Ahsoka, one has to look at the Nielsen's top 10 originals list where the series took 5th place with 487 million minutes viewed. Interestingly, if one does a simple minutes viewed divided by the runtime, one would think that Ahsoka's viewership might have increased by nearly 5 million people. In the first week, the first episodes were released with a total runtime of 101 minutes. If you plug in 829 million minutes viewed into the equation, that comes out to 8.2 million. Using the same equation for the third episode, you could divide 487 million minutes by 37 minutes over the runtime of the third episode and get 13.1 million minutes. However, YouTuber and financial analyst Valiant Renegade points out that Nielsen's reporting is just not tracking the watch time for the third episode, but includes the previous 2 episodes as well. And he states, and then there's the question of how many minutes were those first 2 episodes rewatched in the second measurement week to get to episode 3, or how many new people came in to watch having never seen an episode 1 or 2 in the first week of release and catching up now. All of that factors into the 487 million minutes of Ahsoka watched, meaning that the numbers are not strictly the third episode. That's the cumulative total of every bit of consumption of Ahsoka from Monday morning at midnight through the end of the second week. To give an example, let's say 15% of that watch time, that 487 million minutes, were people who either watched the first 2 episodes for the first time or people who went back and reconstructed those first 2 episodes a second time in anticipation for watching the third. Renegade asserts, that brings the actual watch time for this third episode way down, and it's only at 15%. Let's say that number was 25%. Interestingly, the Nielsen numbers covering the week of Ahsoka's third episode are similar to what we saw with Andor. Back in September of last year, Andor's premiere week, which saw the release of the show's first 3 episodes, saw the show bringing in 624 million minutes. It placed 6th on Nielsen's original chart, failing to break into the top 10 overall. In Andor's second week, the series only brought in 485 million minutes according to Nielsen. That's nearly identical to Ahsoka's 489 million minutes. How did Andor showrunner Tony Gilroy react to the viewership numbers? He told Variety, "I think I was surprised. I thought the show would go the other way, that we would have this gigantic instantaneous audience that would be everywhere, but it would take forever for non-Star Wars people or critics or my cohorts or friends to get involved with the show. The opposite happened. We ended up with all the critical praise, all the deep appreciation and understanding from a really surprising number of sources, and we're chasing the audience," he admitted. Given Gilroy's claims that Andor was chasing the audience and had nearly identical performances as Ahsoka in its second week on the Nielsen's chart, it calls into question Lucasfilm's praise of the series' viewership in reaction to Samba TV's reports that Ahsoka was indeed performing at Andor levels. If you recall, Samba TV reported the latest new Star Wars series, Ahsoka, finally hit screens with 1.2 million households watching over its first 6 days. This is similar to viewership of Andor's premiere season and slightly lower than The Mandalorian's 3rd season premiere over its first 6 days. In response to this, Lucasfilm declared, "Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company are thrilled and humbled to announce that Part 1 of Ahsoka, Master and Apprentice, was the most watched title on Disney Plus this past week. The debut episode garnered 14 million views, making the series #1 globally on the streaming platform." Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy added, "Ahsoka has become a fan favorite with people of all ages, and it's wonderful to see her continue to resonate with viewers in her very own headlining series. I want to recognize the fantastic work done by our creative team led by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and the incredible cast led by Rosario Dawson and our talented crew. And on behalf of our team at Lucasfilm, we give thanks to all the fans who have been with Ahsoka on every step of her journey, and all those who are just learning about her now on Disney+." YouTuber WDW Pro reacted to this in a recent video uploaded that called Walt Disney out, saying, "Perhaps this will catch the ire of investors now. Perhaps Disney has done something more severe. And that is that at the same time that we've had all this arguing over ratings and how writers and actors are going to know how the ratings for the shows and be benefited based on that, and how advertisers are going to know the ratings for the shows so they can pay the right amount and not be deceived and not be paying incorrect values for a show that are popular or unpopular. Disney is out there giving us information that does not line up with anything that we're hearing. Samba TV, I give you a gold star on this. You got it right. And unfortunately, Disney probably knew that they were maligning what you said, and that is a bad, bad mouse," he declared. The numbers don't lie, and they spell out an interesting fate for Ahsoka. Could the influence of Dave Filoni's wife be why fans are skipping Ahsoka? Highly, highly unlikely. Ahsoka suffers for the same reason all modern Star Wars suffers: fatigue, anger towards the sequel trilogy, dislike of Disney, and general apathy towards Star Wars. As we all know, apathy is the most dangerous emotion a fan base can feel, as nothing the creators of a series do can move the needle. That's where Star Wars lives. It's a massively expensive endeavor that doesn't bring back the returns needed to justify the massively expensive budgets. We have 1 episode of Ahsoka left, and fans are wondering just how the show that moves at a snail's pace will wrap up everything in under an hour. No matter Dave Filoni's personal life, the man was not the savior of Star Wars. Star Wars may be too far gone for saving. It will remain as a happy memory for fans, but it more than likely won't recover in a way that will bring most fans back to the Star Wars universe. Star Wars died alongside Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Carrie Fisher. It's time to let Star Wars and that galaxy far, far away rest. Permanently. So folks, what do you think about all of this? I think it's kind of funny when fans are looking for an answer and they look to Dave Filoni's wife on Twitter. Do I think she sounds crazy? Yeah. Do I follow her on Twitter? No. Will I ever follow her on Twitter? No. I don't know her. I really don't care to know her. I wish her the best, and that's all I can say. But I don't like what Dave Filoni's done with Star Wars, and I haven't in a while. I'll save you that speech for my long-form Ahsoka video that'll drop when the season's over, but we haven't been talking about it each and every week because the show hasn't been worth talking about each and every week. Here's how I feel when watching most episodes of Ahsoka. Okay, here's the recap. I'm waiting for stuff to happen. It's getting interesting, it's over. And then the following week, they don't pick up with the interesting stuff. It's like Disney Plus series have learned all the worst traits of cable television series, except they don't give you a payoff. If Dexter or Breaking Bad was like this, I don't think those shows would have the critical praise and acclaim and have stuck around for as long as they did. But this is Star Wars, and I guess we're supposed to lower our expectations because of spaceships, lightsabers, and other random bullshit. But I'm an old school Star Wars fan, and I expect a little more than just flashy effects. And to be honest, a lot of the flashy effects on these shows don't look that good. But again, folks, that's the story for another time. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you enjoy this content, and we'll keep giving you more. If you want more from us and you're a Star Wars fan, go to StealingSolo.com. Stealing Solo answers the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnapped Harrison Ford and forced him to remake Star Wars in their basement? I made that as a response to Episode 7 and my disappointment for the film. And if you are a Star Wars fan that did not like the sequel trilogy, then you're going to love Stealing Solo. If you like comics, you're going to love Stealing Solo. And if you love a good laugh, well then you're really going to love Stealing Solo, because I receive nice reviews like this one from fans all the time, telling me they enjoy the comic. So folks, if life is rough and got you down and you need a good laugh, well go to StealingSolo.com and get the comic book that has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the best Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. There's a limited supply left, and I ship out books multiple times a week. So get yours now and get it fast delivered directly to you. And the website is powered by Shopify, so you get their award-winning safety and security. So folks, I'll be back next time with more. Join us this week as we talk about Ahsoka and its final episode. And join us this week to celebrate Schlocktoberfest. This week, WCBS is hitting the road. We'll be live from Orlando, Florida at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. So join us for the live stream, hang out with us, and let's get scared together, folks. Schlocktober is the greatest season of the year, and we here at WCBS are very excited to celebrate it with you. So one more time, folks, thank you for watching. We wouldn't be here without you. Be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art, beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.